Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. Today is January 3rd, well, it almost said 1919, but it's actually 2019. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a couple of videos up, especially one on the Enterprise E as in Edward here. I'll give a little bit of background as to what's been going on for the last few months. I have Windows 10 Pro, and Windows 10 is not working with Fraps and not working with my record audio device, which is a Corsair Vengeance 1500 headset, and my editing software, which was Lightworks. For some reason, they used to work really well together, but the Microsoft April Fool's update broke everything, and I have never been able to get it fixed. So I was fighting constant frame drops, lockups, no explanation for it. Whenever I'd edit my software, my voice would sound like I was on helium. It would desync. It was just abysmal. I just gave up. I lost a lot of footage, and no matter what I did to convert the audio files, video files, all of it, I just couldn't get it to work. I ran it through 5 or 6 different editing softwares, and none of the softwares really worked. They all had their issues and problems and whatnot. So I am using OBS to record with at this point, and this will be my first record video. I've recorded several videos already with this topic, so bear with me. I do apologize. Most of those videos, again, were me trying to sort out getting Fraps to work before I finally just threw it up. Threw my hands up in the air and decided to go ahead and go with OBS. Anyway, so this is my first OBS recording. Yay! Look at it, it looks like a smiley face. Anyways, what's been going on with the server? Well, we've finished primary work on the Enterprise D as in Delaware. So now it's up to M. Heller. She's going through decks 1, 2, 3, and so on. And remember, there's that extra deck in there, so it could be 2A or 3A or 2B, 3B, whatever. And she's updating that, filling in the interiors, making changes as she sees artistically fit. And that leaves me with nothing to do, so I decided to come over here and work on the obsolete Enterprise E. Why is this obsolete? Well, because M. Heller and Shadow Appler, and I may actually use Shadow's actual name at the time, so please, Shadow, I'm sorry. It's just, I'll try not to, but, you know. But they decided to go ahead and build a new Enterprise E hull, much similar to the size of the Luminosity B, and they've been working on the hull details on it pretty extensively, and that will become the new Enterprise E. And I do believe that they're going to use the deck plans that I helped Shadow design for the Luminosity B for the new E. So with some modifications as they see fit and whatnot. So I don't know if how much I will be involved with that project, if any. I really don't know at this time. So that leaves me free to work with this older hull. M. Heller has backed up the server, so I'm free to start doing all my work actually on the build prime as opposed to pulling parts of it out and working on it over here. And the reason that I want to do this is, I really put a lot of time into this build. A lot of people did, and I hate to see it just, delete. So I want to do what I did with the Fearless and try to rework it to something that I can be happy with. And that means pulling out all the interior and going back through it, making double walls where I can, fixing issues, identifying problems, realigning things, adding things, removing things, fixing, tweaking, all that other stuff. And that's what I'll end up doing when I feel like it, because, burnout. But the problem that I think soured a lot of people was Windows. Windows on a spaceship are an absolute pain in the pipe. Now, for Star Trek, when you saw Windows like on the Enterprise D as in Delaware, and here on the Enterprise E as in Edward, they were put on the hulls for the show and for the movies because they were aesthetically pleasing. That's it. They have no practicality. No practicality whatsoever. Some of the windows identified like areas like 10 forward on the Enterprise. D as in Damascus. And here on the E, some areas like, lounges and things like that. But for the most part, they're just there. And they don't put any thought about where they put them, why they're there, or anything else like that. So in that case, when you put a window in, you end up with situations like this, where they just literally go to nowhere. They're just there. Now, when you come up to a build, you want to be able to look in there and say, well, where's this window lead to? And where's this lead to? And stuff like that. And fortunately, these windows are, again, they're aesthetic. they have no practical purpose whatsoever. And for a good example of that, run over to the old D and look at the window pattern on the old D and see where a lot of the windows lined up to the ship's interior. I mean, you were going through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 decks. And I wanted to avoid that as much as possible with the current rebuild of the Enterprise. D is in dog. And so I tried to keep the interior design lined up as much as possible to where windows go. I may not have pulled it off. I may completely be off, but I hope not. And, you know, if the windows end up being across stuff, then that's just, their windows are going to have to move. There's just really nowhere to rework the interior of that ship because that ship is quite refined as far as its interior design goes. That's what I thought about the Enterprise E, as in Edward here, or Earl. And I've discovered that, yeah, I'm pretty close to it. I can rework some stuff for where window placements are, but I'm not going to be able to do a lot of it. So a lot of these windows are just going to end up being, you know, pointless. Like, you have window here looking right down this wall, just right down this wall into this room here. It just serves no practical point whatsoever. And then you have other windows that literally, like these ones here, they look right into a room that literally the hull steps down into nothing. I mean, there's just no room to put a window. Why is a window here if all it's going to do is look at like a 2-space or a 1-space tall floor? Well, you can push it through to the next deck. Well, yeah, I guess I could. Let's go see what happens when we do that, because now I'm kind of curious. Well, let's go over here, and I think it's this deck right here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go back to 1. I will make myself solid. Here's this useless window. So if we were to punch this out, and I'll go ahead and put that back. Now we're looking right into here. Alright, so you'd have to stand right by this door to look up to see out this window here. And you have this too high space thing. I want to get away with all this, get rid of all this too high space stuff. To me, it's just even though 6 feet tall, you're still, if you're 6'1", you're cramped to get in here. And that's the hull. So I want to close all this off. I don't want to have any access to this whatsoever. I want, you know, the walls to be right along this edge here. So let's say here, let's go ahead and punch this down. Okay, wall. So yeah, so in order to accommodate this window, I would have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into a room here. That's 5 separate blocks to get down into here, and then I have to redesign all this stuff through here to accommodate it. And I mean, I could do it. Now that I know they're there, I mean, I can do it. I can actually go ahead and do that. I mean, I'll go through and I'll punch out all these windows down to the where they can actually be used for something, but in some cases they're just not going to be able to be used for something. And that begs the question, why are they there? Well, they're there because somebody decided it looks good on a 2D model and on a 3D model and on an actual physical model, because more lights means more lights. But in reality, they serve no practical purpose. They're just there. And that makes it very difficult for us on our builds. So thankfully with the new Enterprise E, they're putting the windows in first, and that'll help design the interior. And that's something I really wish we would have done with this build, and same thing with the D, but I could get anybody on board to do any hull work, exterior hull work on the Enterprise D. So I had to kind of guess where everything went based off of bitmaps and other locator things. And I tried to do the same thing here with the Enterprise E originally, but gave up on it because, yeah, the material I was working with wasn't that accurate. So what I've done, this is the old bridge module and stuff, and I'll go ahead and go in here first and take a look at this first bridge. I forget who designed this bridge, but I think it was Mad Squirrel initially, with probably D-Bomb, Blue Phobes, and a couple other people. I know I initially started working with it with brain fart. I just said the gentleman's name, I can't think of it now. I'll just say Martin. I started working with Martin on this, and it just got to the point where, yeah, I left it to them to design because they're so much better with this stuff than me, and this is what they came up with. And yeah, back then this looked pretty good. But we've learned that these blocks, these light blocks here, the carpet blocks, they all generate really bad lag. Anything like pictures, you can see how slow I'm moving. You know, it's just the way it's designed. And see if I can get myself to, there we go, a little bit of a faster move here. anything like the signs, the pictures, item frames, even these right here, they all cause lag. Carpet causes lag. I don't know why, but it's one of the things that causes lag. And so I decided I want to get rid of all of this stuff. I just want to get rid of all the carpet. You know, the conduits under the carpet be damned, because at this point I'm just going to say that as a floor block, the conduits are automatically going to be assumed to be included in the floor block. And at some point, you know, maybe we'll have a block that'll actually have a texture or some feature that'll allow you to see that, oh, this is a floor block, but it's also a conduit path. Okay. And you come through here, and you got this dinky little bathroom here, and you know, it's right up against the hall. Again, I don't like seeing the hall. And you come here, and you got to stop, and you got to turn this way to come into the captain's day room, his, you know, office, whatever, little bunk there. And look at the bathroom. It's just, yeah, it doesn't. I just, what's this? What's this? What's this? It doesn't define anything, and that's what really bugged me about these designs. That's why I went through and tried to come up with a uniform design for bathrooms, so that you walk into it, you know it's a bathroom. Same thing with this lounge over here. Again, oh wow, this is kind of cool. You got your phasers right here, but again, you're touching the hull, and I want to get away from that as much as possible. And if you come up here and you come down this stairwell here, it's cramped, very cramped through here, and then you got another bathroom back here. It just looks like it's just thrown in here, you know, like yeah. And then you get this really tight room in here, and you know, just feel like you're banging your head. It just doesn't feel comfortable to walk through. It's a small table, and this is the worst texture, honest to God. It's just, I hate this texture. I hate the look of it. I hate everything about this block, just as much as I hate the brick block, and that brick block is this pattern. I hate that pattern. I just hate it. Absolutely despise that pattern, especially on a stair block. I mean, what were you thinking? So yeah, and if we drop down to deck 2 here, come on down to deck 2 here, you'll see that. Come on, let me in there. Dang it. Let me in there. You have this, where you come around the corner here, it just doesn't, because of all the brown and the way it's laid out, it just, why? It just doesn't fit right. It doesn't look good. It just looks bleh. And I decided I want to fix that. So what I had done, and we'll zip back over here, let me go to speed 5 and get a little bit of distance between us in that other hall. I did a little bit of work around the edges here. I kind of pulled things out just a bit so that I could have just a tad bit more wiggle room. And whoops, come on, I don't want to solidify in the wall, because then it'll be like my head sticking through there, and it's gonna be like, oh God, there's a head sticking in the hall. Whoa. Okay, that's interesting. Gee. Oh, wow. I wonder how I did that. Okay, so if I hit that again, it'll probably start. Yeah. Alright, so what did I do? Did I hit Control 5? Let's try it now. No, let's try this. Alright, that is just really weird. How about Shift? Okay, does that fix it? No. Execute? No. Shift 2, 1, 2. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, so if I go G, come up, and G again, I have to figure out how to get my brightness to come up. That is just some funky coloring going on there. Look at that. Wow. That's an interesting problem to run into. Your guess is as good as mine how to fix it. Let's go to Options, Controls. I think it would be Gamma Bright, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's a Gamma Bright mod, so 0 resets brightness. Alright, so let's go ahead and do 0. Alright, let's try 0, G, 0. There we go. I hit G again, and G. Let's go ahead and figure out what the setting is real quick. I had to do this while I'm recording, but you know, it's just one of those things on the fly kind of a thing. I've recorded this thing so many times. You're going to suffer along with me as I figure this mess out. Gamma Bright. So how do I brighten things up? Brighten would be home. So I have one of those funny keyboards that doesn't really spell words. It's a Chinese knockoff keyboard. I have to admit, for an RGB keyboard, it's been doing a really good job, and I'm pretty happy with it. Knock on wood, it hasn't Corsaired out on me yet, so I'm pretty pleased with it. But unfortunately, some of the keys are less than intuitive. But anyways, let's go ahead and get it even brighter. Whoops, wrong button. Get it up into the stratosphere light 60 plus 630. I wonder how hot we can get it. Should be able to get it up to 1500, I would think. There we go. Anyways, as you can see, we walk into the captain's ready room, day room here. It's a lot roomier. You got a bathroom that actually has definition to it. You know that's a shower, that's a sink, that's a space john. And, you know, granted, some things I'm still working on here, but the whole bridge has a lot more room to it. It looks a lot cleaner. It doesn't look so cluttered with all those funny different carpets through here. It's got a very distinctive pattern. You get a feel for it. It has a nice flow to it. You know, just what I like. You know, just some minor changes makes a lot of difference. And granted, I don't have an EVA suit in here, but I will, and I'll have a phaser stuff in here. I didn't finish designing out this area before I moved on to something else. Tangent. But yeah, I decided that, you know, it looks a lot better. I like it. To me, it has a lot better feel to it. And I kept the overall design that Mad Squirrel, I knew I'd remember the guy's name, initially designed. Now, there is a sign over here. M. Heller, Atrocities, Mad Squirrel, I Panic. So those are the four primary people that were involved with this. And then you add in, of course, Blue Phobes, D-Bomb 7-2, I think Creeper, oh, Crush. There's a couple other really other people. I just don't remember everybody's name. I honestly forget so many people's names. There's a few other folks that helped out and stuff like that. So, but they're no longer active on the server, so sucks to be them. Anyways, you can see here it now, instead of being all cramped and stuff, it's nice and wide, and got a lot of extra room in here. And I got these signs up here: do not congest this corridor, because it doesn't need to be congested. It needs to be open. It's a work area. You don't have flower pots and coffee makers in here. There's just no call for it. And then I moved the bathroom from over there to back here, and then again on the other side of this conference room. So, and it has that new bathroom wall pattern that we have to update the Enterprise D to. Oh, we just finished the D, and already we got to go back through it and do so much more updates. I'm so burned out on the hall and the D. At this point, I'm just like, I gotta put it down for a while. You know, it's my favorite toy, but I can't play with it anymore because I done played with it too much. Get your minds out of the gutter. But anyways, you can see here the lounge is much larger. It has more space to it. You can walk along here without feeling like you're going to strap your head on something. The table is much larger. It looks a lot better with an actual design instead of the ugly redwood look to it. Again, we have another bathroom over here, and just it feels a lot better through here. I love how I reworked this deck. And I almost fall to my death. That would really work, right? No, he died. He only has one life. In reality, you only have one life. But come through here to deck 2. I cleaned all this up through here. Now it feels like a corridor when you come through here. It doesn't feel so blah, you know. Also right here, I adopted the same ODN, you know, service area that I did for the Fearless. Just sort of a nice little cove where you can come in and work on stuff. Now the hole is right there, so I had to have the stairs to kind of mask that off. It works. I want to unify all the blocks for the stairwells as well. And then you have these rooms here, and kind of cleared all this out through here. And there was a sign, but I sort of broke it. I think it was like office, VIP, party room, or something like that. So came through here behind the escape pod silos, and I got rid of all the crap that was back in here. It was pointless. And I really love this block. I really love this texture. It looks great. It can be used in so many different areas. It looks like a soundproofing block. Works well as an insulator. It also works well as a standalone wall block. But what I like about it is that I'm using it here as an insulator block. You know, this area here is not supposed to be really bright. You know, you'd come in here, it'd be sort of soft lit. It's a kind of relaxing area, you know, in behind the escape pods here, where, you know, you have your emergency power to them in case the ship loses power. You can still power the escape pods. But then you have these windows. Now these windows are actually in the actual model itself that you would see in Star Trek Insurrection or any of the Star Trek movies. And you have these windows here, and they are literally right on the backs of escape pods. They're again perfect example of movie ship having windows that mean that are absolutely pointless for having. Absolutely pointless. So I had to, in order to accommodate why we have windows here, I have to have a little door there, and then I have to have a door back here so people can kind of walk through and look out the space windows, even though there'd be no reason for them to be back in here except, to hook up. And that's what their quarters are for, so why would they need it? Now, this was a bathroom, but it can be converted back to a bathroom. We can get rid of the door. I'm not married to having the door there. I just had to have an excuse for why there are windows. So what I did is I moved the door, the bathrooms to the center here. And you got this one on this side. Again, this is the new bathroom design that we have to implement throughout the entire fleet, including the Enterprise D's in Delaware. And yeah, here we go. And if you come onto the server is a modded server, and I guess we'll talk about that right now. As a modded server, you will need to install Forge. You would get the latest Forge, you would run it, it's an executable file. After it runs, it'll tell you if it's installed or not. If it is, great. You would then launch your Minecraft launcher, and you would select New Instance, and you would go into the new instance, and you would select the Forge install as your primary, Minecraft selection. Not that hard, very easy to do. It's pretty intuitive, even a grandpa can do it. Once you do that, you would save your profile, your instance, and you would run it. And once it boots up, it will tell you Forge is installed. You will end Minecraft. You will then take the mods that we use, and a list of those mods are on our Facebook page, I believe, and there's a link on the Facebook page as well in the description below. They'll take you to the web page, and it will also list where you can download the mods and what mods we use. I believe there's even a pack included. There has to be, because Imheller has a Minetrek mod itself, and that's a required mod in order to join the server. You would get the mods, and you would simply copy the mods, just the mods, and the other accompanying files as directed into your mods folder, which will be created when you run the first time run Forge. Forge will create the mod folder, and then you'll just drop everything into the mod folder. And then you would simply start Minecraft like normal, and hopefully you have at least 4 to 6 gigabytes that you can dedicate to run Java, and that's about it. You would get in here, join the server, and once you join the server, you can fly on over to the Luminosity B and see for yourself what the new modded blocks look like. Now, a good example of how well they have used those blocks is this aft lounge area here on deck 2 of the Luminosity B. It is incredibly amazing work. When I say incredibly amazing, it's not like, it is very nicely done. Very nicely indeed. So that's what you would do. You would go on and check out the Luminosity B, because that is the current modded build on the server. Now, I do not build modded ships. I learned my lesson with 1710 when I made that custom ship that was really heavily reliant upon chisel blocks. I built it with 1710. You could load that ship with any version of chisel from 1710 post use of those blocks. So 1710, we'll say chisel version 1 1710, chisel version 2 1710, you could use that ship. Chisel version 1 1.8, no go, and beyond, no go. So what happens is, if you use mods, your build, say you only use 3 or 4 mods, you are now limited to that one mod that never updates. You can never do anything with your build. All the other mods can update, but that one mod, if it doesn't update, you're boned. You're anchored to this one mod that never updates. That's why I don't use mods. Now what I do is I build the ship in vanilla, and then you make a copy of that, and then that would be the ship you would do for modded. That way there you always have your vanilla version, and then you'll have a non-vanilla version where you can start using mod blocks and stuff on. Otherwise, you run the risk of corrupting your primary build, and you're just completely erased 3 to 5 years worth of work. And we're going into our 4th year of the Enterprise D build, and so yeah, I don't want to ruin the Enterprise D by using a bunch of modded blocks. Then the server never updates, and you can never load it in a vanilla server again. And with all the new stuff coming out with Minecraft, eventually, I don't know the viability of continued modded um, builds and stuff. I guess there would have to probably be two servers, one modded with just a couple of ships on it that are being worked on, and then of course, the vanilla server with everything else that's not modded on it. And I would most likely build on the non-modded server. And once I was done with building something, then it could be migrated over to a modded server and then rebuilt using modded blocks, which wouldn't be that hard. You would basically come in and say, oh, here's the lounge, just go ahead and replace all these blocks and with these new blocks and so on and so forth. So you'd just, you'd have a basic canvas to work from. And this room here is very basic. It's just very utilitarian, but the Luminosity B version of this room is really nice. And again, I won't show you the build because that's Shadow Appler's ship. And Shadow Appler, he has his own YouTube channel and he does his own videos about his own builds. So unless without his permission, I won't show off his ship unless he's okay with it. And I haven't talked to him about it. So there's that. As we come into the center corridor here, you can see that I'm trying to keep the uniform blocks and separate walls. So the wall here is gray, the wall here is brown. So that's what I'm doing. Also, I redesigned the entrance into these escape pods. Before it was like one little door right here, and then you stepped in, and then it was like one door into the escape pod. And it looked really, really bad. And I've never liked the look of it. It just looked cheap, cheesy, fast, and I like the looks of this. Again, these blocks are beautiful for a lot of stuff. And now when you look at it, it looks, hey, that looks like an escape pod. You can put like a little door right here or something, something. But yeah, it works out really, really well for me, and I'm really happy with it. And of course, if you look through here, you see the roof pattern changes as well for the fact that this is an escape pod area. And then through here, it's all double walled and brown and stuff. So I tried to break it up a little bit so it wasn't so much that way. But you can only do so much with the blocks you have. And that's a limitation of Minecraft in general. You can only do what you can do with what you have at the time that you have it. So, anyways, we're down here on deck 3. And come around here on deck 3. I went ahead and went with this design again. This is the same design I used with not the floor. I haven't changed out the floor yet, but I think I might leave this floor here because it's nice and bright. This is a storage area, and I think I like that pattern for using for storage rooms. So all the storage rooms will probably be updated to this pattern with this build going forward. As I get time, I will update those. And we step into here. Trying to remember if I updated those. Good. This is and what I did is I reworked the bathroom so that you can enter it from the corridor as well as from the room. I went ahead and got rid of all the stuff along the edges here and just put a wall up. So that's all I've done with this room here. On the deck above us, I'd similar to the deck above us. In fact, I'll go up here real quick and show you here. This room here, I cleared up the roof because it had a bunch of low-hanging stuff that was just really hard to get around. I had to push these bars because I had to double wall through here and build the bathroom, so I had to push this area forward, and I redesigned them slightly so that they're not so dated looking, and they actually look a lot better now than they did, in my honest opinion. And if you go to the trunk line here, you can see that I'm using the new Jeffries tube design. And you come in here, and I've got what I call the Borg wall going on here, but it works really well for setting the atmosphere of this room. In any room that's not a actual Jeffries tube layout, this will be the new pattern for it. If it's not an ODN room, I'm scratching my hands. Give me a sec here. If it's not a Jeffries tube like this pattern right here, this plus pattern, then it's a room that'll be like this. And if it's not like this, it'll be an ODN junction, in which case it'll look like this. So, and Shadow really, over on the Luminosity B again, he really has set a standard to be followed when it comes to transitioning from area to area to area. So please keep that in mind if you go to the Luminosity B, and that's a build you definitely have got to go check out because he's been working on that as long as we've been working on the Enterprise D. So it's been quite a few years, and he's getting along there quite nicely. So we'll come down through here, and I went ahead and turned this into a conference room. Beforehand, this cluster of rooms was very small offices that were just way too small to be used for practicality for offices. So I turned this into a small conference room. I turned this one here into a brig, an actual brig proper, so it looks like a brig. and on the other side it's a medical station, because on every deck of the ship, minus the first two decks of course, there are first aid and security stations. And the reason for it, if the ship gets boarded, you need access to those areas just because bulkheads, invaders, so on and so forth. Now, with the quarters, I went in and cleared out all the quarters and redesigned them. I am a fan of wall, door, and you step into the bathroom. You know you're in a bathroom, okay? And here you are in a bedroom, and here you are in a living space. Now, granted, 23rd, 24th, 25th century, there's a bunch of different designs for things. Again, Minecraft, you can only work with what you got. So this is what I have, this is what I work with. Now, M's over on the Enterprise, D is in Delaware, changing things on decks 1 through 4 currently, or not 1 through 4, 1 through 3B currently, and she's experimenting with different designs and things like that, and I don't know how well they're going to work. I mean, some of them are pretty interesting, and I think she's onto something. But then again, she might change her mind and say this looks silly and not follow through with it. The problem I have with anything is when you fill a room like this up with a bunch of, just a lot of clutter, just screens here and screens there. I mean, when I say screens, I mean this stuff, and let's go here, this one, and a bunch of this other crap in here. It clutters a room up, and it makes it cluttered. And of course, you walk in here, and all of a sudden you can't move. Go to the Voyager. Walk around the Voyager and tell me if you can walk around the Voyager. You can't, because of all the lag. And the lag is caused from item frames and too many knickknacks all over it. So when you design a room, for me, it must be kept utilitarian. So what I do is I cleaned out all the mess that was in here, all the noise, and I put it back, and now I can walk through this room without any lag. I go over to the other Enterprise, and when it first loads, I'm lagging like an MFer. I just cannot move through it because it's got to render everything. It's got to position. It's got to do the math on everything, and it's a heck of a strain, especially if because Minecraft is a single thread operation. So again, if you have an AMD system, you're boned anyways, because AMD FX systems, they don't run single thread operations very well. In fact, AMD FX chipsets are they're still, I have two of them, and I've never been able to really play Minecraft with either one of them. So that being said, I use an Intel system, and it seems to work okay, but yeah. I can actually walk into a room and load it eventually and be able to move around in it. With the AMD systems, it was just impossible. So I gave up using them for playing Minecraft. And like I said, found out later on, it's because the FX single thread instructions are just abysmal. They sucked. They're okay for multi-threaded stuff, but nothing better than that. Anyways, if we continue the update tour here, come through here. I went ahead and updated to the new batteries that we use in the Enterprise D. They're just a really mundane, very simple design. One of these batteries can run the city of Portland, Oregon for a month. So they're pretty powerful batteries. Very dense power storage. I went ahead and used this wall pattern and I will use this moving forward for all batteries, all battery rooms and things. There's a lot of work to be done there because I also have to update the Enterprise D with that design. And here's the stairwell again, up to deck 2. And did I finish the roof? I did. Come down through here, and we have this used to be two separate rooms. I just combined them to one big room because why have two machines when you only need one big one? And that's for the transporter, which is right here. Now I went ahead and went with the design that I used, similar to the one on the Fearless, because I like the way that it looks, and it fits in well with all the browns. But again, too many browns. I guess this will be okay for right now. At some point I'll probably update it to something better than this, but it's very military, very post-Nemesis looking, very clean, very open. Of course, this is an emergency transporter, but still it works, functions well. Now the reason why it's advantageous to work on all the decks at the same time is like this window right here, this turbo lift. This turbo lift, I had to move the door from here to here, and if you come down here, excuse me, you see the door is still on this side, so I have to go through the turbo lift all the way down and making sure that the door entrance is right here, in order to accommodate the columns. These columns right here. Let's get rid of these because I don't want these. Again, these things here also cause lag like crazy. So when I see them, I've been removing them. I don't know why I put them in there because everybody uses Gamma Bright now anyway, so you don't really need the candles. But so when I make this change, I like to make this change on every deck at the same time that is affected by this shaft. So that was the main reason why I want to be able to work on this ship as a whole as opposed to pulling parts of it out. And we've been through there. Let's get rid of that. You see me fixing stuff as we go because I'm still finding things that need to be fixed. And I will always, even if I go over to the Enterprise D right now, I'm going to find something within 30 seconds of recording. I can bet that needs to be fixed. Here's a little office area here. You got a desk. You know, in this case, the window's behind him because he wants people to be intimidated by his power, so they can basically see the kill shot coming where this guy here is yakking at him. Again, bathroom. Crew quarter bathrooms will be not like that. Crew quarter bathrooms will be more warm, like we've seen. Come through here. We have another ODN junction right here. Same thing on this side. And then I decided to go ahead and use update the turbolift Jeffries tubes here with the, initially I guess it was thought of by Patchy Patch, and then I experimented with it and Shadow experimented with it, and Shadow came up with something very close to this design, and this is the design that I decided to use. And we're in the process of updating the Enterprise D to use this design as well as the board wall design, and for every different, several different Jeffries tube styles that need to be updated. So I have to go back through all the saucer section that I didn't do this in and fix it using the board walls or try to fill in one of these. And if you do this pattern around corners and zigzag and stuff, it's really easy for these stairs to get funky on you, so you get blocked, and trying to get that out of the way is a pain in the pipe because once it's set, and you got to pretty much start from the end and work your way back down again and try to prevent it. It doesn't lend itself well to going around corners and stuff, so that's why I don't use this pattern that much on those corners. And it starts to zigzag around like the edge of the ship. You would transition to like the Borg pattern or a different pattern like what Shadow Applers used on the Luminosity B. So that's what we got to do with the Enterprise D is in Delaware. So, and I'm not looking forward to it because that's going to be a lot of work. And that's one of the reasons I decided to go ahead and just start working on this build. Because get my mind off the Enterprise D and get my mind onto something like this again. This is the VIP officers gym. I didn't design it, but it's very functional, very bright through here. I don't know. These are the yoga mats. These are weights. These are treadmills. It works, practical. Here's the escape pod. Now, if you remember on deck 2, I have black on the one side and then that nice textured wall on the other side. Well, obviously I can't fit that in here, so I just went ahead and did this. It looks good. It says, hey, come get me. Now, what I could do is I could do something like this. I don't know how it would look, but I figured I'd try it on recording here. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think I'll go back to the other pattern here and let this sit for a while, and maybe I'll come up with something better. But always keep it uniform. That's the main thing. And you can see we had to pull all the chests out of the game because the chests were corrupting chunks, and we're finding chunks in the Enterprise D where I've mirrored the chunks, and there were chests involved, and they caused a lot of problems. And we're just going to constantly be dealing with what they did, corrupting the chunks and stuff for quite some time. But this is normally where the chests would be at, the storage chests. They're no longer in the ship, so you'll come into an escape pod and there'll be a hole here. And that's why there's a hole there, is the chests were all removed. So keep that in mind. Come down through here. We have an officer library suite, an officer's research suite with nothing in it. Then we have this aft lounge here, and this is going to be completely reworked. Right now I just kind of mocked it up just to have it mocked up. I used the sand blocks because why not? I don't like the color as much as I used to. In fact, I really don't like the color at all. The more I look at it, the more I dislike it. So I think I'll probably end up going to the block that we use for Picard's room, this block here, and it has this block to go with it. So, for example, we would go through this here, and something like that, all the way around. So not all the way around, but for here they would be there. Then every so often it would use this block, and then the rest of them would be that block. I got to come through here and reposition all this stuff through here because you can see there's white there that doesn't need to be used, and so I'm not real happy with how this room looks, but I will update it as I get time and make it look a lot nicer. You walk in here and you get this kind of a, yeah, it doesn't flow very well look to it. That'll get it fixed with time. And I put a bathroom here instead because there were none in here, and the one that was here was pushed further back, and it was kind of literally down to 2 blocks, and you had to kind of scooch in there, and just I didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't like the way it felt, so I moved everything back this way several blocks, which shortened down these rooms here considerably, and I got rid of all the fluff and stuff that was back here because, and just figured 2 couches and a center beam where we can put a plant will be fine, and then if we want to, could stack something there, we have room for it, and same thing in here, you know, just to make it a little bit more common sense, a little bit more useful, less full of eye noise and stuff. Same thing with this lounge over here. And that's pretty much where I've gotten so far on the rebuild. This is only a couple of days into it and so forth. One of the problems, and again, I hope to address as I build out the ship, I want to be able to fix all these stairwells so that you don't see the wall here. And that means I have to be able to address this deck and all the decks that are affected by these stairwells, and I can do it much more effectively when everything's in the build proper. And then as I need to work on individual decks, I can bring them out here and work on them to, you know, clear up all the mess and stuff. And as you can see here with this deck here, that's what I'm currently doing, is I'm going along and I'm clearing up all of the stuff that's in the way to get a better picture of how things are going to get laid out. And we come on down to the deck below it here and get even a better idea. Again, I've been recording for quite some time, so a lot of this work was actually, maybe it is this deck. Here it is, right here. I was recording, and a lot of the stuff was removed while I was recording and showing stuff. Like I removed part of this corridor because I decided I didn't need it. I removed a wall here because I'm going to move this wall back, and we're going to incorporate all this area here into this room here. I decided to get rid of the crossover corridors so that I could double wall these rooms here. These rooms will be larger now, and here's the pattern. This will be a double wall or a single wall. I don't know yet. I haven't decided that these rooms would share because I couldn't do it with the corridor being here. There was simply no room to put a double wall in and stuff like that, so the corridors had to be removed. So I removed the 2 corridors, and of course that affects the deck above it and deck below it and the roof as well. So quite a lot of redesign work again. So this won't be necessary because this will, you know, each room will have a very similar interior room wall pattern, which I have yet to come up with. So get rid of this one here because we won't need it. And that's pretty much it. I just, you know, spent a lot of time going through cleaning. Of course, all the batteries will be updated to the newer versions. This right here will all be revamped. While we're here, let's go ahead and get rid of this because we're not going to need these along the wall here. Got to have access to this wall because I have to be able to see all this stuff through here. It's going to be reworked. What I'll do is, like these units here, I'll just individually copy these out because they're a pretty basic system, so I know how to build them, but sometimes it's just easier to copy them out and move them forward a little bit, you know, to give myself a little bit of room and things like that. But all these crew quarters in through here will be redesigned. I'm not sure yet with the new pattern if I can fit in, you know, like I did with all the other ships like the Enterprise D and stuff. If I can do it, I will do it. Excuse me, and keep the pattern, but just update it to use, you know, for example, this is a bathroom. It's 4 wide, so the shower would be something like this. And then on this side, the shower would be like right there. And then this here would be dead space. Dead space, and then the toilet would be like right there, and the sinks would be right here. Something like that. I don't know yet. I'll have to, as I approach and get in here and start doing all this, I'll probably end up doing that, figuring it out as I go. I could do a live stream, just click on OBS and just start talking, but you know, that won't go well for me because I'll probably end up talking to myself and God-fearing, start talking politics, and that'll be the end of it. You know, you'll all be like, screw that guy, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I don't want to do that, so I did remove the rooms that were up here, and I will remove this room here, make this all one big room for this system here, and again, run along the walls here, double walling everything. So, and on areas where the wall is already doubled, I left it alone. Like these storage rooms here, these labs here are all double walled already, so I don't have to worry about it. through here. These rooms here have not been. This is a stairwell. Again, it allowed me to address all of this issues from this one here, working our way down and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting process. It'll also allow me to fix this kind of stuff and other things that I found that were very annoying, like people moved walls. I mean, entire sections of walls, like for odd things, and they didn't put the pattern below them. So that's how I knew they got moved. And to find stuff like that is kind of frustrating, but I understand why it was moved. It just, would have been nice if, for a minute I thought there was somebody standing right there. It would be nice if they had, kept the pattern and stuff, but, sometimes you can't. It's like, oh, we'll just move it here and it'll be done. But, so, I haven't found anything out of the ordinary, just, stuff that we did that was old school that no longer fits that we can use. And that's about it. So I'll get rid of these controllers along this side here, and I'll go ahead and keep working on it. I'm waiting for Shadow Apple to log on. Hopefully he'll be able to get on here in a bit, and he's 8 hours ahead of me, so it's now 8 a.m. where he's at, 8:30 a.m. where he is at, and hopefully he can get on and we can touch base on what he wants to do with the Luminosity B, and then I can get off to bed and get going on this big project tomorrow. At least that's my hope. So continue working on it tomorrow anyways. I don't know how much of it I'll be able to get done, but I'd like to, really put some time into rebuilding this ship, and I don't know what will happen to it in the long run. I really don't know. Anything's possible. It could be completely just a waste of my time. It could be scrapped. It could be, it could eventually be released as like the Sovereign, so we'll have it unique on this server, and the old version of it can be ditched and onto, or not ditched, but dumped onto Planet Minecraft, and people can use that to, do what they want to do with stuff and things and whatnot and so forth. And, we'd still have the latest version of the build, because, we're rebuilding the Enterprise E completely, so we'd have the latest version on this, on the server, and people would have the not latest version. So, yeah. So, anyways, I do appreciate taking time to watch. Again, this is the Minetrek.net gaming server. Thank you for watching with me here and bearing with my long-winded return to YouTube. I do not know if I will keep making videos on a regular basis, but I will try. If I do, it'll probably be Minetrek related or STO related. Who knows? I cannot, and I am trying to salvage the footage that I have from STO, because a lot of funny stuff went on with that game over the last couple of months. It's a shame that a lot of that is gone. I can't use it. I even hate to bring it up because it breaks my heart to bring it up and not be able to share it with you, but yeah. Anywho, I do appreciate watching, and if you'd hit the like button for me, greatly appreciate it. Doesn't really matter, but if you'd also like to donate to the server, the link is in the description below. All donations do go to help keep the server up and running, and since the server has been up and running for a little over 11 years now, 8 years now, it's time for some service updates and equipment replacements. So yeah, any helps, any funds will be used for that purpose and would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.